Welcome back to Chat Off the Mat. Today, I'm excited to introduce you to a truly radiant guest, Corbin Chase. Corbin believes that health is never a luxury and that real wellness doesn't require a product, a price tag, or a perfect lifestyle. Instead, her work is about helping people return to the whole you, grounded, intuitive, and deeply alive. Through her sessions, readings, and guides, she creates a space where healing is accessible, spiritual, and rooted in everyday life. Corbin's approach is especially powerful for women who feel disconnected from their bodies, or their intuition, or even a sense of vitality, reminding us that wellness isn't about doing more, but about reconnecting with who you truly are. I can't wait for you to hear her wisdom, her stories, and insights today. So let's dive in with Corbin Chase. All right, welcome, Corbin. Thank
Thank
you for
you.
being here.
Thanks
Yay!
so much. Yay.
I'm excited that you're here. I know we had a quick chat a while back and connected, and I'm really excited for the audience to learn a lot more about you and your work. So we're going to start off by asking you just tell us a little bit about your background so people understand you were in the corporate environment, what you did, and how you've come to where you are today with your holistic health mission.
Yeah, sure. All right. So I started working in corporate America at 18. I went to public school, private school, and homeschool for high school and started working in the corporate world really young. The drill sergeant of my life was to perform both at home and at work and at school, which resulted in me kind of like losing myself in a very large way at a very young age. And then in my early to mid 20s, I stepped into my spirituality. I fully like acknowledge that I am a psychic and an energy reader, and have several spiritual gifts. And so I started to integrate those while I was in corporate America, which caused a lot of shifts and upheaval in my not only my work life, but within my marriage and within my newfound motherhood. And eventually I kind of had my big tower card moment where I left my marriage, left my corporate job of 11 years, and started my own private practice, moved across the country. And now I'm very passionate about talking about holism and alignment and a spiritual lifestyle as the primary way to be happy, healthy, and whole.
Wow, that's great. That's a lot of big life changes that you did there, but you followed your guidance. Talk about your philosophy that health should never be a luxury and that it doesn't require a product, a price tag, or a perfect lifestyle. I know you talk a lot about that and that a lot of women or people feel that they don't put themselves first and that it's a luxury to have a
Mhm.
self care, for
Yeah.
example.
Totally. Yeah, I love that you're tapping into my bigger message. It didn't always start off as like, oh my gosh, health shouldn't be a luxury. It really started with me and myself and stepping into my own sovereignty and realizing that Mother Earth is one of my mothers and I need to take care of my body. And I have the ability to take really good care of myself and live in good health with all of these natural, holistic, and spiritual tools. So once I really was able to harness that for myself and start living it and a lifestyle to support it, I could bring it to my children, my household, my community and friends and family. But now I've started thinking bigger about, okay, this should apply to everyone. Everyone is our own medicine. Our collective is medicine. Each human has their own medicine. There's medicine all around us. And we live in a society today where we think that our primary care doctor like sits on a pedestal and tells us things about our body that we can't know. Now, there are aspects of science that are really important. We do need Western medicine. We do need emergency care. We do need care when energy is manifested in a way to where we are maybe confronting death. We do need a combination of Eastern and Western medicine. But we don't have to outsource our health. We have a relationship with our body. We have a body that's on our team and that communicates with us constantly. And if we can shift our way of thinking to realizing I can be my own medicine, my family is my medicine, my nature is my medicine, we stop outsourcing our healthcare and realizing Western medicine can be on the team, but it doesn't have to be the one and only source of information about my body.
I love that. Wow, it's really, really powerful. I personally follow that same philosophy as well for my own health. And I've been an advocate, when I'm in the doctor's office and he's telling me things, I'm like, well, I don't know, maybe not, because I know my
Mhm.
body. And then if that doesn't work, you just go to another doctor or go to another holistic practitioner. I think it's having a really good combination and trust in how you communicate with that person is
Yeah.
important. Yeah.
Can
And
I
it
give
should,
a grounded example of that?
yeah,
That happened to me
absolutely.
recently because I
Yeah.
love what you said about, you go to your doctor. So my youngest daughter, she's almost 4. I picked her up from school this past Friday, and she had a rash of bumps all over the back of her legs, her inner thighs, a weird spot on her shoulder, one on her face. They weren't itchy. There were zero other symptoms other than her body had all of these bumps on them. So I reach out to one of my friends who's a doctor, and I'm like, what's going on? Like, what do you think? And uh, ultimately, he was like, well, if she's not bothered by it, just kind of let it go. And I'm like, what? What do you mean? Her body's communicating something, or something happened. So, like, as a medical intuitive, what I think is unfolding for my daughter is that maybe in a few years, she's going to have a rare autoimmune disorder. And her body, she came down in a really fragile body in this life. And I think these are the early signs of her body kind of like overreacting and not having a great relationship between her immune system and her emotions. So that's what I mean by your doctor might be like, well, if it's not bothering her, it's fine. But there's always a spiritual diagnosis.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's great, and that you did that. And the skin does um, represent also, as far as the elements, it's the air element in the elemental theory, and
Mm-hmm.
letting go and releasing. So I've always attributed
Mm,
something coming through the skin as something releasing from the body. So she may also maybe be processing something where she's letting go of that emotional whatever it is that's in her body.
totally.
That's just my personal spin on what you said. But I love
Yeah.
that you looked at that and that you are looking at different angles on your daughter's health.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I
great.
uh I love that you said that actually because you know that two things can be true. It can be both indications of an autoimmune something that might unfold later, but also I just started my daughters at a new school, a Waldorf school, which is a forest school. They're outside all day. It's a small class. They cook from the garden. I mean it's incredible. And I know that they're working on relaxing the central nervous system. And so I think that she's very relaxed when she's there. So maybe you're right. Perhaps like being in this environment and not in like I feel like the public school system kind of like shoves
Yeah,
people down a tube.
yeah.
Maybe she is releasing because she is able to relax for longer periods of time.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
that feels
Oh,
good.
yeah. I love that she's in that environment too. It's like
Yeah.
a fairy. I just picture that like this whole kind of fairy
Mhm.
environment where things are pure and fun and real and earthing. And I really love what you said earlier about Mother Earth being one of your mothers. I
Mhm.
feel the same way. And that this connection with Mother Earth has been really strong for me too, because she's one of our mothers and she provides so much for us. And we need to
So
remember
much.
that as her
We
children.
do. Absolutely. We are. We are a child of several things. And I think
Yes.
yeah, acknowledging Mother Earth as the mother of our body is really, really important. And I think what's happening today, like a lot of these like just chronic health lifestyle diseases that we're seeing is because we're taking our body away from its mother. I mean, we know what happens when you take a baby away from its mom. I mean, it's wholesomely devastating. And so
Yeah.
I think it's very, very important. And it's also once you start taking on this concept and starting to have a relationship with this concept, you realize that there's a home for you in nature, which is special and highly grounding.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we live inside.
Mhm.
It's not always healthy inside, and
Yeah.
we need to get outside and feel more grounded. So you said that wellness should be accessible and intuitive and rooted in life. What does that look like in a practice? So let's talk about like the practice. We've been talking a lot of abstract stuff. Share
Mhm.
some examples of like maybe even your own day to day, or what some of your clients, what you recommend to some of your clients who are disconnected from their bodies or not feeling rooted.
Yes. Oh my gosh, so many examples. I'll start with myself and then get into some clients.
Great.
I recently got 3 goats, 6 chickens, a greenhouse, and built an entire farm that is called Spiritual Farms that I'm now hosting farm to table holistic ancestral dinners at. Um, and if you had told me this a year ago that I would have goats, I would have been like, you are nuts because that's crazy. The more I've started to step into my authenticity and get to know myself, that's a very, your relationship with yourself falls under spiritual health. Once your spiritual health becomes strong, and you start to acknowledge your gifts, you want to live a lifestyle that supports this alignment, this authenticity in your gifts. And it's like the waves have been rolling in for me. So a lifestyle where it has me outside taking care of animals every single day, no matter the weather, no matter what's going on. I'm outside collecting eggs and taking care of the goats and tending to the garden and eating from the land and feeling the dirt and feeling the food. And knowing the weather and the seasons. And so that's a huge way that supported me in my health and in my life. Clients who aren't quite ready to or aren't interested in starting a farm necessarily. It's more about getting to know yourself. A lot of people forget that we're supposed to love ourselves deeply. And that's, I'd say, like probably like 60% of my clients, that's kind of where we are, is just remembering that you are perfect. You chose your body. And that is very humbling to know that your higher self, who has more wisdom than you, picked this like from a very wise place. And it helps to kind of put things in perspective and remembering that without love, like your body will manifest disease.
All right, let's talk about that. First of all, self love and acceptance of your body. I think once people have more of that self love and acceptance, I think that's a game changer. I think that they stop fighting with their bodies.
Yeah.
And being aware of what's happening in your body is also very important. Any examples of any of those experiences where someone or yourself was saying, hey, I feel this is happening? Just like you
Mhm.
with your daughter, the example you gave
Yes.
your daughter.
I do. I do. And I also wanted to say before I get into this example is
Sure.
just to like paint a context that I find helpful for me and my clients is so we have our body and the mother of our body is Mother Earth. And then we have our body, which mothers our spirit. So our body is like kind of like the meat suit. It's the vessel. It is the temple for our spirit. So we must nourish our body in a very spiritual way so our spirit can be healthy. Similarly to how we put our body back in nature to be whole and for healing. And so how this plays out is that there what I mean by this is that there's always a spiritual diagnosis. So we have a scientific understanding, but there's always like, well, why is this happening? What is the purpose? What's really going on? When did it start? Those are the spiritual questions. One of my clients has cancer for a second time. She's in her late 60s. And the cancer is in her lymphatic system, specifically on the left side of her body, all around her shoulder, her back, up in her neck, into her chest. And so, first upon meeting, I see like this and feel this closedness in her heart. And so the conversation starts rolling on, and I say, "Well, do you love yourself?" And she says, "What?" She says, "No, no, no, that's not really, I don't, that's not really for me." And I'm like, "What do you mean that's not really for you?" And she's also single. She's not in a relationship because she can't let anybody in. She can't love herself, so she can't let anybody else love her. So she has been deprived of both love from herself and from others for, I don't know, 2 decades. And now
Mm-hmm.
we see the cancer all around her heart. So I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
well, I'm kind of like, well, duh. Like this makes so much sense.
Yeah.
You're depriving yourself of love inside and out, and now your body is screaming. And ultimately, she needs to, when I ask, what does she need in order to live? Uh, One, we've been working on opening her heart. She's created a love list that started with 0 people. Now it has almost 60 people on it. And she she really needs to commit to living her life a new way that's more than just her hobbies. That's really like committing to see the love and the magic all around, or else her soul is like, we're not here to just like do hobbies. We're here to grow. And unless you're willing to truly see the love around you and open your heart, we are going to leave.
So when we're feeling out of balance and out of sorts, that is a wake-up call. We need to say, well, what's happening?
Yeah.
Right? Like, okay, this is more than just I have a headache for like 3 months straight or a migraine or my lower back is hurting me every day. Oh, it's nothing. It's something.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to discover, like, I know that we have the energy systems and the chakras, but it's a start. It's very basic,
Yes.
but we need to
Yeah.
connect and we need to say, okay, let's dive deeper into that. What is our body telling us? So how can
Yeah.
a person go in and find out or tune in? Like you said, we're our own medicine, right? We're
Mm-hmm.
our own little
Totally.
doctors, right? Like, we can put
Yes.
our little doctor hat on. What can we
Totally.
do? How can a person acknowledge and also discover or figure out where those imbalances are
Okay.
physically?
Two things. One, and this is my dream one day of opening a practice where just like we have a primary care physician for our physical body, it's also helpful to have a spiritual primary care practitioner for your spiritual body. And given the gifts that I have in holism and looking at someone at the bigger picture, that's kind of how I see myself with my clients is okay, let's see what's going on. Let's get an initial read at why is this happening? When did it start? Let's get really deep into, what is it specifically that you need? Is it hypnotherapy? Do you need a cranial sacral session? Do you need Reiki? Do you need an
Acupuncture.
exorcism, acupuncture, exactly, like sound healing, whatever it might be? Then just kind of like you go to your primary care physician and they refer you to someone specific, like a gynecologist. You can do the same and say, well, I think you should go see this womb healer based off of what you
Mm,
have going on. So you can
right.
outsource from there. So I think getting a read on both your physical health and what science has to say, and then also what the spiritual side of it is, that pairing is like incredible. And so, number two, this is much more you can do it yourself, is thinking about your life and the hard things that you've been through that haven't yet been alchemized into your wisdom. So, every single thing that you have been through is a rock that hasn't been turned over yet, right? If you haven't acknowledged it. And on the other side of that rock is your gold nugget. That what you've been through was designed specifically for you to grow. It's like a curated experience, gift, truly, just for you to experience, for you to process, alchemize, and gain the wisdom and move forward. So I think a lot of people feel like in their life, they have a sense of like being behind or unhappy with where they are, or they don't really fully associate with the reality, or they're like, why is everyone doing this and I'm over here not getting any of these things? It's because we have this baggage behind us of experiences that we haven't quite pulled the lesson out of yet. And if you can pluck one by one each of the lessons and integrate them into the now, oh my gosh, your health will
Mm.
improve tremendously. Your happiness will improve tremendously. You will be so wise and so helpful to the world.
Yes, I pictured a bag of rocks. People are carrying around a bag of rocks, and
Yeah.
what happens when you carry around a bag of rocks? It's really heavy. You can't move. You
Yes.
can't move forward. So I love that analogy. Take those rocks, turn them over, figure out your life lessons, and then put them aside. You have one less rock to carry, and keep doing
Yes.
it. But people are they're afraid of uncovering these truths or these life lessons because they can be a little scary.
Yes.
Yeah, or
Because
even
yeah, they
forgotten and buried down so deep.
yes. Oh my gosh, I know. And so if you don't alchemize them and turn them into your wisdom, which will, there's a call for personal change in there. And you're gonna have to go through the wave of, oh, I'm uncomfortable. Okay, I'm rising above it. Um, yeah, and so if you let those rocks sit in your field, you just shove them aside because they're still attached. You experience them, they're part of the greater picture of you. If they're still hanging out in your field, eventually that energy is going to become denser and denser and
Yeah.
denser until it becomes physical. And that's when you see like these random health issues come up. And it'll form in a part of the body that's symbolic for what that experience has to do with, which a Western, approach could never teach you, although it's helpful in some ways, it could never put those two pieces together where like a holistic or spiritual practitioner could be like, oh, okay, this is where this is from. Let's
Yeah.
work with your care team and really get you wholesomely back in alignment.
Yes. We will get there. We hopefully sooner rather than later.
Hmm.
And oh, I had something I was going to say that I forgot. But anyway, yes, I love this. I love this conversation. I love your
Yeah.
examples. And yes, if you feel that you're carrying a rock, turn it over, figure out what's going on, and get better. And yes, thank you. You talked about your client, and women do struggle to put themselves first. And that's because, we have the kids and we have our priorities and all that. What are some things that somebody or a woman or anybody can do to start moving forward in prioritizing their own health? Can you share a little bit more about that? Like maybe even give some examples, like simple examples of what people can do or what women can do for their own
Totally.
self-care.
Yeah, I resonate with this so deeply. It's actually come up for me a lot because I'm trying to like build up my Instagram and like really build some community. And I have other influencers that I follow, other women, and they just look so good. Like, and I know that they're like clean, clear, spiritual, like they feel great energetically. But I'm like, I don't look that good that often. Like I have kids, they don't have children. And so there's been like a huge thing of like, can I make it out there without looking like they do and presenting like they do? Um, and so I like I struggle as well. I think what's helped me within parenthood and to continue to move forward with myself and my development and putting myself out there is just like there's an element of surrender, like surrendering whoever I thought I was to just being where I am now and embodying my children and my motherhood. Like just being in flow with them and my family energy is when everything works the best.
Yes.
And you really need surrender to get there, but it's not like you're losing yourself. You're really gaining harmony, which looks very different than being like the independent, flirtatious, I'm gonna find my partner version of me.
Yeah.
um,
I love what you said. Super powerful. Didn't expect that answer, but let me tell you, that's more spot on than any other answer I was expecting because let talking about surrendering and not worrying about, do I need to look like that person? Do I need to post 5 times a day? Do I need to say this message? Do I need to dance on TikTok? No, be yourself. I think if we start there, I mean,
mhm,
that's I love that. And you are perfect the way you are.
mhm.
Yeah. I mean, me too. I like, okay, like I don't wear makeup
Yeah,
anymore. And like,
me either.
do I need to wear makeup because I want to look, a certain way? I'm like, no. Like, okay, so I'm good with that. I'm going to show up the way I want to show up. And like you said, once you do that and you surrender to that, life feels more fluid. Talk about now, give me a second. I'm going to edit this out. I want to come
Okay.
up with a good question. Um, because we answered a lot of the questions. Is there anything that you wanted me to ask you that is related to what you're doing? I mean, I'm going to ask about your offerings and stuff.
Mhm.
Oh, I've got a question.
Okay.
Okay. Obviously, that all comes out. Okay. I want to also circle back. I remembered what I had to say before. One of the ways that change or that I need to figure something out shows up for me is anxiety,
Mm.
feeling anxious and overwhelmed.
So I think what really helps with anxiety is when people educate themselves about the anatomy of their whole being. So realizing you have your body, your personality, your ego, your logic, your spirit, who should be in charge, and then you have these tangent parts of you that are fear, anxiety. So realizing that you are not anxiety. Anxiety is a part of you that can be communicated with and negotiated with. And you can once you start framing that in your within your mind and then body, you can kind of manage the anxiety better and not lose sight of the bigger picture. It's when the anxiety comes in like a bag over your head and you are just anxiety. And it's very hard. You lose your direction.
Mm.
So practicing when that feeling of anxiousness comes up, acknowledge it objectively and be like, okay, hello, it's okay. Can we just pause for a second and I'm gonna take a breath? Like just starting to like kind of remembering to put it in its seat. And I think that's really helpful with anxiety. Now, when it comes to transformation, there was a while ago I would get confused anxiety with discomfort and discomfort paired with adrenaline of starting something new.
Ah,
So I think those three are like interesting to look at when you're going through a transition because you want to become friends with discomfort for sure.
yeah.
And the adrenaline of like, oh my gosh, that new version of me is here. Like, I think I'm her,
I love that. I love how you labeled that because I really typically just like do the nervous anxiety. I'm like, okay, what's happening? What's going on here? But I love that. That's the excitement. That's the other spectrum of
Mhm.
the adrenaline and that the opposite of anxiety is that excitement. I love that.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of now you're a chef, an avid
Yeah.
chef, a cook, nutrition,
Oh
you're a
yeah.
chef, right? So
Hmm.
listen, there's a lot of wellness trends that
Uh-huh.
are out there. I'm going to talk from a women's perspective, right?
Yeah.
And we all feel, or some of us, or some people may feel, oh my God, I have to do that because I want to look like that, or I want to take that because I want to be whatever. Like, what's happening? Like, why are women jumping on all these trends? I know that part of it is like, okay, we don't feel good in our bodies, but you have to feel connected in your body first before you start, fasting for 20 hours or taking things that help you lose weight and stuff. Like there's so
Mhm.
many things that are moving us away from that bodily connection, right?
Totally. Totally. I love this topic. I love this question. What it is a lack of holism. It's a lack of holism. So I am pissed at diet culture. I've been a victim of diet culture. I participated in diet culture. I have had a horrible relationship with my physical body. I actually just journaled about it this morning of how far I've come, even though I'm not fully there. So whenever you diet, you're only applying a tool of limitation and outside source to one slice of you. Like, and when you think about holism, how everything's connected, and to make a true, lasting soul level and bodily, physical body change, everything needs to shift. Everything needs to be accounted for. But when you're like, I'm going to limit this food because so and so said that to only my physical body, it's like dysfunction is going to be the outcome. It will be. Your body's going to be like, what? You're not
Yeah.
listening to me. So I was from May, June, July until the end of August. I was in like a pretty severe depression. So I'm like more recently out of it. And I gained about 20 pounds over those 4 months. And I'm frustrated. I'm very frustrated, you know. And I am not going to diet to lose the weight. I'm not doing that to myself. I am going to have a full, wholesome, spiritual body, energetic lifestyle shift through this depression. The way out of it was to birth a new version of me. And this new version of me is now settling in my life. She has to reintegrate with all of my daily routines and experiences and children and land. And the more she is ramping up to 100%, the more she's showing my body and energy that I don't need extra fat on my body to protect myself.
Mm.
And the way that I'm eating isn't for like in the morning I really like to have something sweet. So like the past 4 months when I was depressed, I would kind of just like drink too much and overeat because I needed to disassociate. I couldn't handle what life had handed me at the time. And now, like this morning, I started off my day with a piece of a brownie just because, like, I wanted it and I was so happy. And I love having that sweetness first thing in the morning. Like, that brings me joy. So I could feel my metabolism handling it differently because of the
Yes.
intention and the perspective I had on the food. So my body is now feeling comfortable enough to be just safe and being seen and thinner. And so I'm just naturally shedding. So, and that's not diet at all. That's just wholesome integration. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. I love that. You don't feel guilty after eating something sweet because the guilt is telling you that you're doing something wrong. And then you're holding on to that guilt. Instead, you're just enjoying it and allowing your body to process it with that intention of, I'm okay with what I'm eating and it feels good and it brings me joy.
Exactly. And I would ask anyone, if you're feeling guilt, I would ask you to ask yourself, where does that come from?
Yeah.
I bet you it's not from yourself.
Well, I had a journey with, I stopped drinking alcohol over 2 years ago. And,
Hmm.
it was a journey. And I was beating myself up over it every day after a night of drinking.
Hmm.
And I finally was like, I need to figure this out. And I did. And once I figured it out from an emotional perspective, I stopped drinking like that. Like you just, the light switch, just boom. And I
Totally.
stopped and I haven't had a drink. And for me, I needed to do that. And I feel better. That was part of my
Mhm.
transformation. Listen, if people are free to try whatever, but if it's not working, you need to change, pivot, try something different. And I think you need to really figure out the root of all the things, the causes of what's going on in your life,
Yeah.
right? First, just like you said,
Hmm.
really
Totally.
important.
Yeah. I appreciate you sharing about the alcohol because that's come up for me, recently. I think it when people are in a place in their lives where they it's stressful or they're very unhappy and they're usually like when you're out of alignment, you've fallen out of alignment in some
Yeah.
way. Um, you want to disassociate, so you want to escape.
Yeah.
And
It's
drinking is one
coping.
of the it is coping.
Yeah.
And yeah, you want to escape. So I've been drinking less since I allowed this new version of me to come forward because I like being within myself again. Like so energetically, alcohol is a distorted frequency. It's
Hmm.
very disruptive. And sometimes, it's okay to let that in if it's within the context of celebration or you decide to have fun, but when you're using it as a crutch and you're using it to escape, you're also vulnerable to negative energies, which is kind of
Right.
a risky place to be. Um, but it's such a beautiful place to be when you're like, I love being within myself and my thoughts and what I have to offer, plain and simple, that I actually don't want to introduce anything else into my system because I'm just so happy being who I am. And reaching that place is incredible.
Yes. And once you realize you don't need alcohol for that, well, again,
Hmm.
it's a game changer and you don't need alcohol to be around other people.
Yeah.
Or also accepting that this is, you don't drink and if other people decide they don't want to hang out with you anymore because you don't drink, that's okay too.
Yeah, that's okay. Because then, but you're spiritually incompatible because you
Exactly.
would have then raised your consciousness a little bit higher than theirs, which doesn't make
Yeah.
them less than. It's just different. It's
No.
just you're not compatible
Yeah.
anymore.
It's just
Yeah,
different. Yeah.
yeah.
This was good conversation. Thank you for that. All right, let's talk a little bit more about or some of the other offerings that you have. Like you also have a podcast, and
Mhm.
you have your Corbin Chase Health, which is
Mhm.
where do you see that evolving and changing? I know you said you talked earlier about you would love to have a place where there's doctors and medical doctors, Eastern
Mhm.
and Western medicine, align and collaborate, right? Is that one of your
Yeah.
visions? What else is going on for you? And what else can you talk about some of your other offerings that you have now that you can share with the audience?
Yeah, thank you. I'd love to. So I have quite a few streams of business around me. I have Corbin Chase Health, which is my private practice where I see clients one-on-ones. I also see couples. I work with families, animals, children in utero. I think I'm really building a client base who is understanding the value in having a spiritual primary care practitioner And so, yes, in the future, I would love to start a private practice where I have referrals out in different areas of holistic healing. But I think I'm quite a ways away, but that's my intention. I also have spiritual farms, my modern homestead that me and my family run together. And I do like goat healing sessions where you can come and lay on the table, and I'll do some like energy healing where the goats jump on you. I do dinners, we cook, lots of farm to table. I have a podcast, which I haven't launched season 2 yet because I'm going through some perspective shifts and I'm not quite sure what I want to say yet. But that is Sacred Lives, Sovereign Communities, and will come out probably in the next few months.
Yeah, take your time with that. There's never, the audience
Yeah.
is there and there's always divine timing.
Yeah, exactly. I'll just know
Yeah.
when it's time. And then I have my Instagram, Spiritual Health Expert, where I'm really focused on community building, and I'm just trying to find the people who are interested in living a holistic and spiritual lifestyle and want that conscious community. And I know to gain that, I have to be vulnerable and put myself out there and all of my thoughts out there. So
Yeah.
I'm working on that.
Authentically though. I'm struggling with the same thing.
Yeah, it's hard.
I it's very hard. And you want to build a following, but you want to build a following of the right people, those that resonate with your message and who you are. And I've been told by people who have read my human design and other things, just be yourself, Rose. And I have to remind myself that just Rose, just be yourself, get out there and just have a conversation with whoever's out there. And
Mhm.
they'll be a part of your community. Is there anything else you want to share before we wrap things up?
Yeah, I'm offering a special for people within podcasts. If you're interested in doing a one-on-one, I offer a 20% discount if you put in spiritual health expert at checkout that I only offer in podcasts. So I'd love, or just give me a follow and reach out. Um, I'm very open to talking to as many people as I can.
Love that. How can they reach you? Through corbinchase.health, right? Do you have
Yep,
an email?
corbinchase.health is my website. Yeah, that's the best way. All my contact information is on my website, and then Instagram is spiritual health expert.
Great. And we'll put that in the show notes and everything. And it's just been a pleasure having you. And I just love what you're doing, love the work you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing and keep showing up. And thank you for sharing your beautiful energy with us here today on Chat Off the Mat.
Thank you so much, Rose.
Thank you. Just want to take a moment. If this episode is resonating with you, please hit the like button and subscribe. And if you have a moment, share it with a friend who you think may also enjoy this episode. Thanks for being here.